former CIA intelligence analyst Ray Mcgovern joins us now from Raleigh in North Carolina. Ray, thanks so much for your time. Now, how big a role, if any, did the CIA and the United States have in the bringing down of the Berlin Wall?
Well, the freedom of information, of course, the ability for the East Germans and for the Soviets and others to see what was going on in the West played a major role. But it was mostly the aspiration of people in Germany for freedom that did it. And it was inevitable. It was a sign of great hope. And that those hopes are now shattered is an indictment of our policymakers for going back on their word not to expand NATO.
Well, just talk me through that a little bit more, Ray. How have their hopes been shattered?
Well, when the Berlin Wall came down, President George H.W. Bush, to his credit, was talking about a Europe whole and free, from Lisbon to Vladivostok, okay? Now, he called up Gorbachev and he said, look, Mikhail, I'm sorry about all your troubles here. Things are becoming chaotic in Middle Europe. Let's get together right away. And Gorbachev said, how soon? 3 weeks. They met in Malta. And what George H.W. Bush said to Gorbachev was, we're not going to dance on the Berlin Wall. We're not going to take advantage of your troubles. You can be reassured we will not take advantage. We want a Europe whole and free. Well, what happened? They got together. That is, James Baker, the Secretary of State for George H.W. Bush, got together in Moscow early February 1990 and worked out a deal. What was the deal? There was a quid pro quo. Now, what did the U.S. say? The U.S. said, look, we want a reunited Germany. And the Russians said, what? After having lost 26 million people at the hands of the Germans just a decade or two before, a reunited Germany? Nobody wanted reunited Germany, including me. I lived there for 5 years. Now, NATO was formed for 3 reasons. This is what their Secretary General, the first one, said: to keep the Russians out, to keep the Americans in, and keep the Germans divided. Now, what happened? Gorbachev said, well, you know, that's a lot to ask. What's the quo for this quid? And Baker said, we promise, cross our hearts, hope to die, we promise not to move NATO 1 inch to the east of East Germany. Well, you know what happened. Bill Clinton welched on that promise. And before you know it, now there are more than twice as many. There were 14 NATO members at the time. Now I think there are 28, 29, okay? So fast forward now from 1990 to 2008. Now, Russia is being rebuilt by Putin. And their foreign minister, Sergei Lavrov, calls our ambassador, Bill Burns, in on the 1st of February and says, hey, Ambassador Burns, do you know what "niet" means? Burns says, oh, yeah, okay. Well, Lavrov says, look, we hear rumors that you're trying to incorporate Ukraine into NATO. Niet means niet. If you do that, there'll be civil war in Ukraine. We will have to decide whether we have to intervene. Niet means niet. Now, how do we know that? We have the cable. We have the message. How do we know that? Well, we get that from WikiLeaks via Chelsea Manning. So it's right there in black and white. What happened later? Well, that was the 1st of February, 2008. On the 3rd of March, 2008, NATO, at a summit in Bucharest, said Ukraine will become part of NATO. So they were thumbing their nose at their promise and also at the warning that Lavrov gave them very specifically in on the 1st of February, 2008.
Yeah, Ray, so much coming out of that and so many lessons that we've learned in that time. Ray Mcgovern, former CIA intelligence analyst, thanks so much for your time.